The Crawford County Health Department hosts a back-to-school vaccine clinic. Prosecutors file new charges in the 2018 Branson duck boat tragedy that killed 17 people. The American Legion in Erie, Kansas hosts a massive bean feed to honor our nation's heroes.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Mike Mahoney. It is time to get ready for the new school year, and health experts say it is now also time for eligible students to get their COVID-19 vaccine. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with a local health department who explains why getting students vaccinated is the next big step to overcoming the pandemic.
With the first day of school approaching, the Crawford County Health Department is helping students check items off their school supply list. One of those things includes getting vaccinated in time for the upcoming school year, which is more important than ever.
The one thing that we have to fight this virus is the vaccine. Locally, our numbers have gone up recently, and that's concerning to us.
If students got their first dose at Friday's clinic and got their second 3 weeks later, they would be fully or almost fully immunized by the time school starts. For students like Ashley Henderson, it means she has a shot at a somewhat normal school year.
I am involved in a lot of activities and stuff, and so having a vaccination makes it easier for me to be involved in that without risk of getting quarantined and stuff, so it's nicer.
And for Caroline Sharbet, who is about to start high school, she's happy to know she'll be safe while beginning such a big milestone.
It'll just be a more normal school year, no more huge precautions or huge stuff we have to do, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Her dad says a local increase in cases is what drove him to take her to the clinic.
Local hospitals getting more and more patients with COVID. That was kind of a wake up to, let's get them vaccinated, and because I have already been vaccinated and my wife is vaccinated, and so we felt like it'd be the best time to get the kids vaccinated.
With more kids in the county getting vaccinated, the health department says it will not only help kids have a safe school year, but can help out the county that's been seeing a surge in cases overall. In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Crawford County Health Department was able to put on this pop-up vaccine clinic with help of the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. The Newton County Health Department is trying incentives to get more of the county's population vaccinated. Starting next week, anyone who gets both doses of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines will be entered into a drawing. 30 vaccinated residents will each receive a $100 gift card. All right, let's talk weather. Let's talk to meteorologist Nick Kelly. Nick.
This was an interesting way to start this weekend, Mike. A lot of rainfall this morning, but thankfully a break in the action for most of us, even still at 9:03 on this Friday night. 85 degrees, that's as warm as we could go after seeing highs near 67, and after Joplin picked up 2 inches of rain today, putting us to 33 inches for the year so far. All of that morning rain is well to the east of us now and long gone and pretty much fallen apart. But look at all these flood warnings still in effect for parts of southeast Kansas until 10:15 tomorrow morning. So even though we're sitting mainly quiet on the radar, that frontal system still on top of us. I'm going to watch for rain chances tonight and through the weekend. So we'll see if we can clear things up next week. We'll check the forecast here in a bit, Mike.
All right, sounds like a plan. Thank you, Nick. Authorities in Joplin recovered a body in Shoal Creek today. Joplin police say they received a call around 5:30 p.m. that kayakers found an adult man in the creek. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The cause of death has not yet been determined and the investigation is ongoing. Last night's heavy rains led to flooding in parts of the 4-state area. This video is out of Labette County, Kansas. Labette County fire officials say they had to perform 3 water rescues this morning because of the flooding. Officials urge people to use caution on flooded roads and, of course, remember, turn around, don't drown. The Jasper County Sheriff's Office releases an image of the suspect's vehicle in yesterday's shooting outside of a Harps grocery store in the village of Airport Drive. This is the vehicle authorities believe the 2 suspects drove off in after the shooting. They think it's a maroon Honda Pilot or something similar. Around 1:35 yesterday afternoon, authorities responded to a call of shots fired outside of Harps. They later located the victims, a 22-year-old Webb City woman and a 33-year-old man from California. At last report, they were both in the hospital with what police call non-life-threatening gunshot wounds. Authorities have not yet located either suspects. It has been 3 years since the disappearance of 31-year-old Sarah Burton. She was last seen in Joplin on July 16, 2018 and was reported missing on July 20th. Since then, authorities have conducted searches across the 4 states area on land and in water. Unfortunately, they have come up empty, but the search continues. Anyone with information is asked to call the Joplin Police Department. A prosecutor has filed a total of 63 felony criminal charges against 3 Ride the Ducks Branson employees. The charges concern the July 2018 duck boat tragedy that killed 17 people. During that incident, a storm on Table Rock Lake caused a duck boat to sink. The charges are filed against Ride the Ducks Branson Captain Kenneth Scott McGee, General Manager Charles Baltzel, and Manager on Duty Curtis Lanham. All 3 face 17 felony counts of first-degree involuntary manslaughter, and McGee faces an additional 12 charges. The Better Business Bureau is warning people about travel-related scams. As more people look to get away, scammers are targeting prospective travelers. The BBB says a common tactic is to sell fake airplane tickets online. The Bureau also has received reports of scammers calling people's hotel rooms to get credit and debit card information, pretending to be the hotel.
Don't believe everything that you read or hear. You need to think twice about it, take a step back, and do your research and go to bbb.org. Better Business Bureau has seen multiple times over the years where literally 5 minutes of research could save somebody hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
And if you'd like to report a scam, you can also do that at bbb.org. Airlines are racing to train pilots as travel demand soars during the summer months. Major airlines are looking to swiftly hire pilots to fill gaps caused by layoffs in 2020. Pilots who are coming back to the job after being furloughed are also being subjected to hours-long training on newer aircraft. Reduction in flight schedules during the pandemic also meant many pilots didn't receive minimum takeoff and landing hours necessary to fulfill their flying status. Experts say if the pilot shortage continues, flyers should expect delays or cancellations on hundreds of flights in the upcoming weeks. Folks gathered today for an annual event in Erie, Kansas, honoring our nation's heroes. The Old Soldiers and Sailors Reunion got underway with a massive bean feed like it does every year. More than 1,400 pounds of beans were cooked in more than 50 iron kettles on the courthouse lawn by the American Legion Post. This is the 148th year of the reunion.
We are in the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest continuous celebration in the United States. So we went to Guinness last year to see what we had to do to maintain our status. They said, well, you have to at least give away some beans.
The reunion continues through the weekend with even more events, including a parade on Sunday. It's now time for us to recognize one of our many 4-state heroes. And tonight, we pay tribute to Dale Frobish of Columbus, Kansas. Dale served as a specialist in the U.S. Army and he fought in Vietnam. He earned a National Defense Service Medal, a Vietnam Service Medal, and many other honors. Thank you, sir, for your courage and your service. For more information on any of our 4-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. And we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, starting next week, KDOT is getting to work repairing a couple of bridges by the city of Pittsburgh, and we've got details right after weather.
Welcome to Sonic.
This turned out to be quite an interesting way to start this weekend now, so let's just dive right in. And it starts out right away with the most obvious from our Indigo Sky Casino Resort time-lapse outside of Seneca, Missouri. Plenty of rain no matter where you were across the area this morning before we finally and thankfully got to see a little dry time, well-deserved, after many of us, especially on the Kansas side north of I-44, had to deal with rain and thunderstorms yesterday afternoon through last night. Then the rain really overtook the entire area as we went through this morning. So how much rain was left behind? On the average, just over 2 inches of rain across the entire area, but you could definitely see where the hot spots were for the heaviest of the rainfall around the Veda and Fort Scott, with rain amounts there around 3 to 7 inches, but more obvious, the rain amounts pushing almost 10 inches for areas around Parsons, Neosho County, Wilson County, and Independence County on the Kansas side. It's rain amounts like this that led to Wallace Road around WEBB being impassable. As we went through the early hours this morning at around 7:13, we had water over the Main Street Bridge because of overflow from Lebec Creek in downtown Parsons earlier today, along with 12 water rescues just in and around Parsons alone. And that doesn't take into account the water rescue near Thayer at about 5 o'clock this morning. So for the most part, the worst of those flood waters have come down, but aerial flood warnings still in effect for these parts of Kansas until 10:15 tomorrow morning, as we continue to see when and if additional scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop. They're trying to out around Ponca City, but if we zoom in just a little bit tighter, we're seeing maybe a few blips on the radar trying to suggest a few showers emphasis on trying to get going. For the most part, though, we're just seeing partly to mostly cloudy skies, and at least we're dry in Joplin. 79 degrees, feels like 82 though, with the dew point sitting near 70. Everyone's in the upper 70s right now at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, with the humidity making it feel like we're back in the lower to middle 80s at the extreme. Looking at the broader view, all the thunderstorms from this morning collapse before they can make it to Memphis. So that complex of rain and storms is long gone. But as long as we still have our front parked right on top of the region, along with an upper low sitting over St. Louis, we're waiting to see when the scattered storms will redevelop once again. And we're still anticipating some to develop as we go through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. They'll be isolated to widely scattered, but they could try to bring some pockets of moderate to maybe heavy rainfall. And then we'll see scattered storms in action once again as we go through Saturday afternoon. But any dry time that we get will go from 70 in the morning, 81 by noon, and afternoon highs right around 86 degrees. The 7-day forecast shows 86 on Sunday again, with the thunderstorm chances continuing. Then we're going to start to see the rain chances taper off as the system finally moves on as we go through early next week. 85 Monday, 83 Tuesday, 86 on Wednesday. And even though we dry out going toward the end of the week, Mike, wouldn't you know it, that's when highs climb back near 90.
Another 4-state summer. All right. Yep. Thank you, Nick Kelly. KDOT crews on Monday will begin repairing 2 bridges on Highway K-171 southeast of Pittsburgh. The bridges span the Kansas City Southern Railroad and Taylor Creek. They will be repaired one at a time, with work starting at Taylor Creek. Traffic at the bridges will be reduced to 1 lane controlled by signals. The repairs aren't expected to be completed until November of 2022. When we return, the Biden administration is being pressured to respond to the ongoing situation in Cuba.
After protests in the streets of Cuba sparked demonstrations in the U.S. and beyond, some U.S. lawmakers now want President Biden to make some bold new moves. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
It's baseball night.
A federal judge in Texas has dealt a blow to the DACA program for undocumented immigrants. The ruling would bar future applications under DACA, but does not immediately cancel permits for hundreds of thousands of people already here. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, provides deportation protection for some people brought to the U.S. illegally as children. But 9 states, including Texas, argued President Obama did not have the authority to create DACA without the approval of Congress. Protests in Cuba have gotten the world's attention. Now, some liberals and conservatives are putting pressure on the Biden administration to step up its response. Fox News' Caroline Shively has the latest.
Anti-Cuban government protesters hit the streets in and around Miami for a 5th day on Thursday. Following historic protests in Havana earlier this week, the biggest anti-government demonstrations in 3 decades. Cubans say they are running out of medicine and food in the midst of an economic crisis. Thursday night, President Biden criticized the regime.
Cuba is unfortunately, a failed state in repressing their citizens.
And sanctions against the Cuban government remain in place, but some Democratic lawmakers say those sanctions are part of the problem.
The U.S. embargo is absurdly cruel. And like other U.S. policies, particularly other U.S. policies targeting Latin Americans and Latinos, the cruelty is the point.
Conservatives put the blame on an ill-equipped communist government that can't handle a pandemic, and they say liberals need to accept reality.
There doesn't seem to be a way to convince them that the regime in Cuba is even a dictatorship.
The streets of Havana were much quieter on Friday. But activists in Florida are calling on the people of Cuba to take action.
Now is the time to resign from the Communist Party, from the Communist Youth, from the Communist labor unions that represent no one.
The Cuban government blocked internet access for its people from Sunday to Wednesday. Florida's governor now says the U.S. should consider giant high-altitude balloons to provide Wi-Fi hotspots. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Still to come, the Biden administration says COVID-19 misinformation is a threat to public health, and they're doing something about it.
New reaction from the White House about fighting disinformation about COVID-19. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with more on how the White House is responding to criticism coming up.
Monday morning, we're funeral homes.
Welcome back. The Surgeon General is denouncing health misinformation about COVID-19 and calling it a serious threat to public health. The Biden administration says it's now working with tech companies to flag what they've deemed problematic content. Fox News' Madeline Rivera has details on how the initiative would work and reaction from Republicans who say it infringes on free speech.
Just like cigarettes and some food and drinks come with a health advisory, now so does misinformation. The Surgeon General warns it has cost people's lives during the coronavirus pandemic. To combat the spread of disinformation, the White House says it's working with tech companies like Facebook to flag content on their platforms.
It shouldn't come as any surprise that we're in regular touch with social media platforms, just like we're in regular touch with all of you and your media outlets.
But the administration says it's not surveilling social media posts. Instead, it's alerting social media companies to broader trending narratives around vaccine misinformation. The effort comes as vaccination rates in the country continue to lag, hindered in part, some say, by disinformation.
The only pandemic we have is among the unvaccinated, and they're killing people.
Critics, however, argue tech companies shouldn't be entirely to blame for the drop in vaccinations.
The answer is if there's something on the internet that is working against the idea of getting people vaccinated and protected against this terrible disease, then the government ought to be thinking about how it can be emphasizing a message about the utility of getting vaccinated.
And many Republicans believe the coordination with big tech will do more harm than good.
Private for-profit corporation can make its own decisions, but when it's doing that in collusion with government, it starts to look to me an awful lot like a First Amendment violation.
Facebook and YouTube say they do ban and remove content that break their rules on COVID-19 misinformation. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
When we return, you'll meet a young adult from Bourbon County, Kansas, who started a business at the age of 19. And not only did Addie Lobby start her own fashion business as a teenager, she did it during the pandemic. And we'll check in on how things are going in just 2 quick minutes.
Sign up today for this.
At just 19 years old, Bourbon County native Addie Lobby founded her own fashion business, Styles by Addie, and in the middle of a pandemic, no less. But thanks to hard work and support from friends, her business has taken off. KOAM's Michael Hayslip checks it out.
20-year-old Addie Lobby has been in the fashion business for almost as long as she can remember.
I've been traveling with my mother for 15 years, ever since I was like 5 or 4, and we've been traveling and selling jewelry, so I've always been in this business.
So literally, since kindergarten, she has been designing jewelry.
Addie spends most of her day here, designing and crafting the items her mother sells to boutiques all over the country. But in her off hours, she started a business of her own.
Hi guys, welcome back. So today I have my beautiful model, Kinley, of course. She's always with me, and we are going to show you lots of cute outfits, plus this one I am wearing right here and hers. I know you guys have seen this jacket, and I know you love it because I also love it.
Every Wednesday at 5, Addie and her friends sell clothing and jewelry through Facebook Live.
It's been a very interesting ride.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, it's a very big learning curve, but it's super fun. The transition from the first live to our most recent live, it's like way more smoother and way more confident.
Yeah, the first one we're like, yeah, these are our clothes. And then that was really it. But now we've really gotten into the groove of it, and it's just smooth.
Running an entire storefront through a digital space may seem unorthodox, but for Addie, it's the only way it made sense.
This is a better avenue for me because we live in the middle of nowhere. We're a homegrown business. We're like a family business. And instead of like having people come here, then we can just sell online. But if you just sell online on a website, no one gets to see the clothing. I've been doing this for a long time, and I realized how much I love putting together outfits and finding things that look good on all body types.
Even as she forges her own path forward, the young entrepreneur's not afraid to wear her inspiration on her sleeve.
And I think she's around so many women-owned businesses, and they empower other women, and they have also given her the confidence to take off and do her own thing.
And the confidence to succeed.
I see it going pretty big.
I'm hoping. I see it going fantastic, honestly.
Michael Hayslip, KOAM News.
The original plan for the business was to save some money for college, but with all of her success, Addie says she might have to change that plan. And you can find a link to Styles by Addie in this story on our morning show page at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Summer Olympics don't start until next week, but the Barnyard Olympics kicked off today in Bourbon County, Kansas. It's all part of the fun at the Bourbon County Fair. The event featured several games, including a wheelbarrow race, a piggyback race, and a pie race. All right, don't go anywhere. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Sports Director Jacob Leonard. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, NFL superstar Richard Sherman made an appearance in court today where he is looking at 5 criminal charges. You'll learn what happened and what Sherman is saying about the situation on social media. That story and more are next.
24th. See you there.
A Detroit woman who had her prized Mercedes-Benz stolen was not willing to let that injustice stand and took matters into her own hands. Fox News' Jessica Dupnack shows us how it all went down.
Bianca Chambers says for 2 days she tracked her stolen Mercedes-Benz all over Detroit. On day 3, she decided to take matters into her own hands. That she did. She confronted the thief.
Stole my At that point, I was just like, dog, I'm not letting this man walk again.
Bianca face to face with the guy she says stole her brand new Benz.
Excuse me, you got that Benz out there? Yes, you do.
It went down Wednesday at a barbershop at Greenfield and Grand River.
He in 7 Days West, getting his dreads twisted. Look at my car.
Customers stepped in, making a citizen's arrest. Then Bianca slashed her own tires.
I slashed all the tires and I thought that he was going to take off, and I didn't know how long it was going to take for the police to pull up. And I refused to let him pull off again.
Holding him there until Detroit police came.
You will never steal from me again.
Detroit police say officers responded 4 times to Bianca's 911 calls as she tracked the car using a web of social media tips. But when officers got there, the car was gone.
Oh my God. Y'all, I see my car.
The thief so bold, he even made a pit stop at the strip mall where Bianca owns a boutique.
They was driving, they was having a good time. They was smoking, but yes, my car was very clean.
He even got the car detailed. Sources tell Fox 2 the thief, now in police custody, has a history of stealing cars since he was a teen.
You're just the dumbest criminal, that's all. Like, you're joyriding in my car. Like, wasn't nobody going to see you?
NFL star player Richard Sherman made an appearance in a Seattle courtroom today where he faced 5 criminal charges following an alleged DUI crash and an attempted break-in at the home of his in-laws. Sherman was released from jail on Thursday. On social media, the ex-Seattle Seahawks player said he was remorseful for his actions, adding that he was dealing with some personal challenges over the last several months. Police say Sherman had been drinking heavily when he left his Seattle home late Tuesday. He then allegedly crashed his SUV into a construction site and then tried to break into his wife's father's home. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus,
rescue operations are underway as historic flooding swamps parts of Europe. I'm Amy Kellogg in Florence, and I'll have the story coming up.
If
the employer.
It was sure nice of Mother Nature to give us some dry time this afternoon and certainly this evening for the most part. After The time lapse from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri showed at least some of the rainfall that worked on through the area late last night and through the morning hours, but it was more than just some rain. We were dealing with pockets of moderate to heavy rain. For some spots, they saw rain almost nonstop since yesterday afternoon, continuing through this morning, and holy cow, did it result in a lot of heavy rainfall. 2 inches on the average, but we zoom in on some of the bigger targets. We go from, let's say, 3 to 5 inches from Chanute to Yates Center, pushing 10 inches for parts of Labette and Neosho counties. And then the numbers pick back up again around Fort Scott and Nevada. This is what has led to aerial flood warnings for Woodson, Wilson, Neosho, Labette, and Montgomery counties until 10:15 tomorrow morning. But that doesn't take into account the other area rivers, the Verdigris, the Neosho, the Marmaton, Osage, Little Osage. They're going to stay above normal up until we go into the middle part of next week. At the very least, Mother Nature's helping us out in that aspect with not a lot to show on the radar right now, but we are not quite done with our rain chances and this stubborn storm system just yet. At least we're looking quiet up top. We'll call it partly to mostly cloudy in Joplin. Still warm at 79 and muggy too. Dew points right around 70, making it feel like 82 degrees. Most of us in the upper 70s to near 80 still before we hit the top of the 10 o'clock hour, but it still feels like, let's say, upper 70s to lower 80s with all that humidity and certainly all the rainfall still yet to be evaporated and drained away. All that morning rainfall, though, fell apart before it can make its way to Memphis, but this front still parked right on top of us, and not to mention this stubborn upper level low near St. Louis. As long as these two are still around as we go through the night and into tomorrow, that's going to be some more rain chances we'll have to keep an eye on. At least the rain chances I see going into the overnight, they're going to be isolated to maybe a couple scattered spots, so not as widespread as what we had to start this morning out with, but any thunderstorms we do see overnight going into Saturday morning, they could try to bring some moderate to occasionally heavy pockets of rain before we see more in the way of scattered thunderstorms as we go into Saturday afternoon. But as far as temperatures go, hopefully I can get this planner up for you. It doesn't want to work with me, but we will top out in the mid-80s for tomorrow. Fast forward through Sunday, even though the future track wants to really back off on the rain chances, I still think we could see some scattered storms to wrap up the weekend on Sunday. But in the short term, rain chances for the next 2 days could result in some areas picking up half an inch to 2 more inches of rain, all because of this stubborn wave still in place. We'll get another upper wave to stick around through early next week, but as that starts sinking to the south, that's going to finally push that front away and cause rain chances to drop as we go into the middle of next week. Rain or shine, though, temperatures staying okay. 86 tomorrow and Sunday, mid-80s continue through Wednesday. But even though we dry out Thursday and Friday, Mike, that is when, surprise, surprise, we'll have highs back near 90.
All right, I will take that, especially compared to what they're dealing with over in Europe. Cleanup efforts are underway across parts of Europe after historic flooding impacts Germany, Belgium, and other nearby countries. Fox News' Amy Kellogg has more from Florence, Italy.
Residents are picking up the pieces after heavy flooding inundates parts of Western Europe. Several inches of rain fell in under 24 hours, resulting in flash flooding in Belgium, Western Germany, and neighboring countries. It was the catastrophic weather event of a generation, if not a lifetime. Some residents are thankful just to be alive.
A big advantage is that our family is doing well. That is the important thing. We are all healthy, and yes, we have to rebuild.
A slow-moving area of low pressure earlier this week fueled thunderstorms leading to the intense rainfall, the heaviest in that part of the world in more than a century. UN officials are also deeply troubled, calling on nations to increase efforts to combat the effects of climate change.
When you get extreme events such as what we've seen, 2 months worth of rainfall in 2 days, it's very, very difficult to cope. We need to step up the level of ambition. We're not doing nearly enough.
Meanwhile, first responders are working to save people from their flooded homes. Crews from Italy arrived in the region to assist in search and rescue operations. Authorities in Belgium and Germany have confirmed more than 1,000 people are missing. Some may be unreachable due to crashed cellular phone networks, but still, anxiety mounts as debris from mudslides creates a challenge for emergency teams to access heavily affected areas.
The victims are the priority. Rescue operations and taking in people are the priority. We're doing everything by all means possible.
The death toll from this catastrophic flooding is at least 125 people. In Florence, Amy Kellogg, Fox News.
Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws hit the field at home, aiming for back-to-back wins. Plus, 2 local teams make the championship bracket in the Premier Baseball Junior National Tournament. Jacob Leonard has that and more coming up.
Monday morning.
The Joplin Outlaws are at home tonight, hosting the Clarinda A's. Joplin finally has a little momentum, coming off an 8-0 shutout win over Nevada last night. Outlaws try to stay rolling tonight and knock off the A's, who are currently in first place in the Mink League North. Second inning, Patrick McGinn, hardline drive up the first base line. Jack O'Brien swoops in from the pitcher's mound to make the play. Game is scoreless. Next inning, Brett Wiemers goes yard on the second pitch he sees. Solo home run for the Pittsburgh product. Outlaws up 1-0. To the fourth now, Cam Pfaffman grounder. Drake Angeron scores. Then Wiemers does it again, this time to left center. 2-run jack there. Wiemers gives the Outlaws a 4-0 lead. Now the game tightened up later, but the Outlaws get the win 6-5. Well, today is day 3 of the Premier Baseball Junior National Championship Tournament here in the 4-state area. The 2 local teams have made it to the championship bracket, Webb City and the SOMO All-Stars. Now the SOMO All-Stars on the field at Missouri Southern this afternoon, taking on the perfect timing Red squad. And Josh Waycaser through the left side, RBI single. SOMO down 1. They would get out of that inning though with a double play. Galena's Brett Sarwinski starts it. Seneca's Lucas Mars turns it. The local guys actually down 6-1 going to the 6th, but they get back in the game here. Titus Atkins slices it into left. Ground rule double scores 2. The SOMO All-Stars get 6 in the inning to take their first lead, but in the end, it goes to extra innings. Perfect timing comes back to win it 11-10. As for Webb City, they're at Joe Becker this afternoon, facing the 18 VICTUS-NATIONal team. In the second, William Hayes up the middle. Base hit, Walker Sweet turns a corner and races home. All-Stars up 3-1. 2 outs, bases loaded here for Kaylor Darnell. To the fence and left center, 3-run double for Darnell. Big 7-1 lead for Webb City. VICTUS-NATIONal back in it in the 5th. Tragan Parker breaks a 7-7 tie with a deep shot to right. Solo homer. Webb City back on top. Then tying run coming home here. Great play, runners out at the dish. VICTUS-NATIONal though, they come back for a second time to beat Webb City 11-8. Peyton Manning is coming to Pittsburgh State. The 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback will be in Pittsburgh on August 30th as part of the school's H. Lee Scott Speaker Series. A series, by the way, has previously featured Bill Clinton, Mitt Romney, and Condoleezza Rice. Tickets go on sale on July 27th, both online and in person at the PSU ticket office. The second half of the season begins tonight for both the Kansas City Royals and St. Louis Cardinals, and both of them are at home to start the second half. The Cardinals kick off a 3-game series against the Giants tonight. That one's in the bottom of the 7th. St. Louis down 7-1. Tommy Edman has the lone RBI of the night for the Cards. Now, the Royals open up a series against the Baltimore Orioles this evening. They come out swinging. They're up 8-1 in the bottom of the 7th. Salvador Perez 2 for 4 with a double and a pair of RBIs. That's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.
Save the day.
Welcome back to your News at 9. One company's innovative devices are creating new opportunities for people who are disabled. Fox News' Ashley Strohmeyer has more on how a collaboration with a paralyzed race car driver is creating hope that others like him will soon regain their mobility.
A traumatic accident is giving rise to new technology that could help improve the quality of life for the disabled. Race car driver Sam Schmidt never thought he'd get behind the wheel of a car ever again. It was after an accident 20 years ago that left him paralyzed from the neck down. But in time, Schmidt regained his need for speed, working with the company Aero Electronics to build a car that would let him or any other paralyzed person drive without the use of their arms or legs.
Literally, to that point in my life, there was really not a lot that I controlled.
Now using special motion sensing cameras connected to a headset, Schmidt can steer this specially designed vehicle in any direction by simply tilting his head. He's able to control the speed and brakes by blowing into a straw-like device, letting him reach speeds of more than 200 miles per hour.
I needed help for everything, so the fact that I'm steering it, I'm using the brake and the gas, and going as fast as I want is exhilarating.
But Aero Electronics technology isn't just helping Schmidt drive. The company also created an exoskeleton suit, helping paralyzed people like Schmidt walk, or in this case, dance. You will cherish and you care. Like this moment where he takes the floor with his daughter at her wedding.
By far the best day in 21 years.
Schmidt also believes these tools will help paralyzed people all around the world regain their freedom by restoring their mobility and letting them get back to the hobbies and work that makes them happy. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Still to come, theme parks may be a ton of fun, but right now, theme park managers and owners aren't having fun as they scramble to hire employees.
Sesame Place is welcoming the return of crowds this summer, but they don't have enough workers. What is the park doing to attract more staff? Paying more. And I'll tell you how much coming up.
Theme parks are in for a long ride this summer as they face worker shortages, but also overwhelming demand from the public. Fox Business Network's Lydia Hu takes a look.
After being forced to close for months last year, operators of Sesame Place are thrilled to welcome back crowds like this one on a hot summer day, but it doesn't come without some challenges. They need extra workers. They have an opening for about 500 entry-level positions this summer, and the operators here tell us that it's all hands on deck until they get those positions filled.
I think it's a challenge. It speaks to the passion of everybody here at Sesame Place that we're all just willing to make this work and figure it out. As you mentioned, that everybody from all the way up to our park president is willing to roll up their sleeves and make sure that the park is operating efficiently. Like I saw our park president working a food stand the other day. Our maintenance and engineering director was operating a ride. Our head of HR was doing the turnstile. So everyone's willing to do whatever they need to do. So the fact that it's hard or how much of a challenge this is isn't really our focus. Our focus is really on the guests, and it's on making sure our team members feel supported right now.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, employment in amusement parks and arcades is slowly recovering, but still remains down about 56,000 workers. Some theme parks across the country had to cut back on hours or days, but Sesame Place is adamant that they won't do that. Instead, they're cross-training employees so they can both operate a ride and perhaps work in a kitchen. They say that helps them make the most of the workforce that they do have. Now, to recruit for those 500 open positions, Sesame Place has boosted wages to $16 an hour. They're offering bonuses of $500 and an opportunity for their workers to earn an extra $2,000 this summer alone. And some might say the best perk of all is that it's a chance to say Elmo is your coworker. In Langhorne, Pennsylvania, Lydia Hu for Fox Business.
Hey, well, thanks so much for wrapping up your work week with us here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And we will leave you with some footage of 24 goats helping out New York City with their weed overgrowth problem in city parks. Looks like an environmentally friendly solution to me, but probably just a big salad to those goats. All right, have a great night, stay safe out there, and come back this weekend.